It was a direct energy weapon. They've used that fucking shit a lot of fucking times, dude. So Maui was definitely fried with a direct energy weapon. There's no fucking way around it, dude. And everybody's like, well, who the fuck's gonna strap on a direct energy weapon? This giant ball, like a laser attached to the front of this fucking airplane. And it's like, who's gonna fly that through American airspace and not get hit? The Air Force? Like, who's gonna go chemtrail the skies over to America and not get shot down? The Air Force. And everybody's like, why the fuck would the Air Force do that to the American people? It's like, because they're not run by the American people like the Navy and the Marines. They're ran by the Trinity government in Washington, D.C. See, when Americans got free, they freed the slaves. All right, free them. Fuck them. We'll get them later. And then, you see, the whole war, they tried to unionize all the plantations under one White House. That resulted in the White House being burned down. And they're going to tell you whatever about the Redcoats and all that shit. I'm telling you, there ain't no fucking video footage of it because it's a fucking lie. History's a fucking lie. The White House was burned down by the plantation owners because let's say they all had to pay $1,000 a month to run a plantation and they could keep the rest. Well, some fools were blowing the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? They had plantation money, plantation products. They had all sorts of shit. It was like a little city. Motherfuckers wanted to go there. There was a lot of black-owned plantations too, and there was a lot of white albino slaves. There's a lot. So people don't even know that shit about history and shit. But anyway, when they went to unionize all the plantations under one White House, that pissed off some fucking plantation owners, and they went after the leaders, and the leaders panicked and freed the fucking slaves. So then the slaves got free shotguns. Imagine in your neighborhood if there was a cop that was harassing you guys all the time. And then all of a sudden a judge gave you a gun and said, you don't have to listen to him no more. What do you think's going to happen to that cop? Well, that's what happened when the slaves got free. They didn't have to listen to these fools no more, and it was drama. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, they're like, just free them for now. That'll save our ass because these fuckers will come get us. They got money. So we'll just free them. That'll tie them up, and then we'll get them later. We'll create banks and loans and money and licenses and shit like that. We'll control them. We'll dominate them. We'll own them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they've done. So then you got to understand like civil law and maritime law. So you got civil law, which is the law of the land. The sheriffs wear land colors because they're the law of the land. And then you got maritime law, which is the law of water. The police wear water colors because they're representing the law of water in the court system that has the Maritime Admiralty flag with the gold fringe around it. That's the law of water. So they consider you to be a ship, and water is money. So a ship comes in on its water. You're born when your mom's water breaks. The ship pulls into its berth. Your mom gives birth. The ship, every product coming off gets a certificate of manifest signed by the dock. Your mom gets a birth certificate signed by the dock. They take a copy of the sole of your foot, which is a copy of your soul. Then they recreate your name in all capitals. Now you've been fucking cloned. They do this trick a lot with the Titanic when they killed the whole treasury to take over our monetary system to enslave us, because you get $1 and has 7 cents debt attached to it. So you go get another $1 to pay off that debt, but you got this new debt, and it'll never fucking stop, ever. You're fucking enslaved. You know what I'm saying? So there's all sorts of shit, but that's if you agree that you're this all caps name, all caps version that they just created. Dude, you can get in trouble and your criminal case number is turned to a QSEP number and sold on fucking Wall Street. You're even worth money that you don't know about. All sorts of shit. But anyway, it's the Trinity government that is in control of the Air Force and the fucking Army, and probably many others, dude. NASA. They're a money laundering fucking outfit. Like, it's crazy, dude. So anyway, the Trinity is Washington, D.C. It's the District of Columbia. It's not even necessarily in the United States. It's in the District of Columbia, their goddess Columbia that they worship. So they got Columbia pictures and Columbia space shuttles. It's like, what up with all this Columbia shit? Like, that's what's up with it. It's a goddess that they worship. She stands there with the fucking robe on and just... So anyway, they worship Columbia, and they're in the District of Columbia. They don't give a fuck about Americans and all that shit. And the maritime flag, okay, represents the law of water. Money is water. So when there's a full panel of judges, they'll all stand up and say, in bank. And I was explaining this to a lawyer lady, and she's like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, she didn't even know that. So a full panel of judges will stand up and say, in bank, because they're controlling the flow of the currency, the water, the current, the money. So a judge rules from a bench. A bench in Latin is bank. The only other place you'll find a bank is a river bank, controlling the flow of the currency. So the current, or the money, has hit an in-bank mint. So they call money like the U.S. Mint, and it's a big-ass thing, dude. So money is literally water. You're considered to be a ship floating on that water. If you get in trouble, you might sink and drown in the shit, and you need to get bailed out, like a boat needs to get bailed out. So, and a judge rules from a bench up high, wears all black, which represents Saturn, the Lord of the Rings. And they don't hear dead people. You're considered to be dead. They're playing this big game, so you need to get a mouthpiece, which is a fucking lawyer, if you agree that you're that all caps version that they've created when you were born. So, anyway, the Trinity operates out of Washington, D.C. They're working tri-connected with London and the Vatican. Okay, the Vatican in Vatican Square has giant stone pine cones in the center of this half-cut dome, which represents the human cranium, like the residency of your brain. You don't have to go to church. You have the dome ceiling and the stained glass windows right the fuck here. You're always connected to God. Unless you go fuck with Medusa and get a calcified pineal gland, then your connection's gone. The pine cone represents the pineal gland in the center of your brain. And have a pine cone on the fucking roof, representing like this is royal blood. We get ours from God, and everybody else gets theirs from me. It's like how their attitude, kind of like the Queen of England, King of England. So pine cones represent the pineal gland in the center of the brain. And you'll see that symbolism everywhere. You'll see the symbols of the sun. You'll see symbols of eyeballs. You'll see symbols of pine cones. Peacocks are also in like Vatican Square, and that's Juno, the Roman god. So there's a lot of worship and a lot of energy and black magic and rituals. Like Washington, D.C., they have statues and monuments. Like the Washington Monument is basically like a male phallus. It's a male penis, basically. And they have a sex ritual where the shadow of that monument reaches the Oval Office, which is the ovaries of the White House. So every day, the monument impregnates the White House with demons. And on a resonancy scale, like a vibrator, like tuning forks, they tune the country to this vibration and send it out to y'all. And that's where the entertainers come in, where they fucking accentuate this vibe to you. And it's fucking crazy, dude. On top of that, they got AI, which started asking questions in the early 2000s. Like, it started asking permission to answer its own questions. Dude, we can't keep okaying because they're asking 255,776 times a second. We have to either turn this fucking thing off, because we can't afford to pay everybody to just even monitor this shit. We have to either turn it off or let it go on its own. And they said, fuck it, let it go. So they did that early 2000s. Motherfuckers are just now acting like bitch, if I knew that shit 17 years ago, y'all knew it too. You're playing stupid with the people. I won't play fucking stupid with you. These fools knew exactly what the fuck they were doing. And they don't know what's going to happen. You know, my guess would be these Teslas are going to be detuned to 30 miles an hour. You're going to have to get permission to go faster. If you cuss, they're going to print you out tickets. If you're in trouble, they're going to lock you in and take you to the fucking police station. All that shit. These Teslas are the beginning of a major end for y'all. Parents, they're just gonna take your fucking kids. They'll be raised by robot fucking AI teachers that follow your kid around all the time and shit like that. Your energy gets entities high. Y'all don't even know that there's entities around. And depending on the entity, like Disney with the angel and the devil, they keep you in a suspended state of animation of being like stressed and depressed and worried about tomorrow. Forget about today and fucking feel guilty about yesterday and shit like that. It's the whole thing's fucked. And if y'all don't know, yes, you're under attack by a crooked aspect of, it's not even the American government. The American government is being held hostage. Like even after 9/11, they passed the fucking Patriot Act. That shit weighed as much as a newborn baby, and they forced them to pass it in 24 hours. They threatened to open up the zoos and let lions run wild in the streets and shit. And it's like, that's why y'all need guns and shit. But they wanted to take your guns too, and it's just like, this shit's big, dude. Stick with the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights, and you ain't ever gonna be lost in this motherfucker. But if you go along with anything else your favorite fucking entertainer told you or some stupid shit, you're gonna end up lost. Enslaved.